Well, I'm my offices are in the city of Terrebonne, and I got a 14-plex right next door, and I was there for interviews and so forth. And at 12:15, there was already a lineup of about 50, 60 people waiting to buy tickets. Our first show started at 1 o'clock. I would have to guess we'd be at about 150, 200 people for the first o'clock, for the 1 o'clock showings, and that's fine. I mean, that's what we would expect on a sunny, 32 degrees outside day. Two brand new movies for families, and two older, more quality-minded movies, and then everything else is pickups from what we left off in March, I guess.
So Vince, tell me, what are the safety protocols that are in place? What's the experience like today versus before the pandemic broke out?
Well, I would tell you that for customers, there's going to be very little change, except for the fact that, as they come in and get their tickets checked, they will have to disinfect their hands, and then, they'll go into the lobby area and have a 2 meter distanciation with marked on the floor where they can and cannot line up and so forth. Everything else is really going to happen behind the scenes, and it's going to be taken care of by our staff. In other words, customers may not even realize, we will have disinfecting measures in the auditoriums in between the show times. We've invested heavily in some machinery that can get that work done overall, railings and everything in less than 5 minutes. Our staff's going to look a little weird for some people because, they'll have a mask and they'll have a visor, because they can't guarantee a 2 meter distanciation amongst themselves when they're working in the lobby areas and so forth. So, I would tell you that the experience is not going to be very much different for customers, except for the fact that when they do go into, let's say, a 400-seat auditorium, they will be maximum 50 of them. So they'll have this feeling that, there's not a lot of people. Truth of the matter is, it's a 14-plex complex, and if we were to sell out every auditorium at 50 people maximum, we'd have 700 people. 700 people times 5 showings, that's 3,500 people. I mean, that's a good Friday night or a good Friday, if we had that kind of numbers. I'm expecting anywhere between 1,000 to 1,500 people per location. And I would tell you that the biggest issue is not, the confinement issues, or it's not the distanciation issues. It's going to be the weather. I mean, the weather is beautiful out here for the weekend, and so people have an alternative than to go close themselves up in the dark and watch a movie. I can guarantee you that the first rainy day we get...
Are you mandating that... Well, I'm just wondering, are you mandating that people who come to the theater wear masks?
No, not at all. I mean, we haven't. We spoke to public health about it. They did not feel that it was a requirement when it came to movie theaters. They felt that given the confinement issue, given the fact that once you're sitting down, you're really not moving, given the fact that you're not talking in an auditorium, given the fact that you're all looking in the same direction, given the fact that every aisle is 48 inches away, they felt that it was safe enough. And you have to remember, right, when you get to some of these auditoriums, the ventilation system and all of the mechanical systems are made for 100% capacity. And right now we're operating at anywhere between 12.5% and 25% capacity. So there's no real concerns at that level there. But we are also monitoring, as customers come in, if we feel that, they look sick or they look symptomatic about, COVID-19, we will ask them, politely, look, maybe you want to visit us, in a few days once we're 100% sure that there are no issues with your health and so forth. We don't want to have, bad experience for our customers. So, we're asking them to help us out a bit, and we want them to pick up behind them, their leftover popcorn bags or their drinking cups, so that we can better disinfect the auditoriums after every show, which will be done after every showing, literally in every auditorium.
You mentioned capacity, and I think about the airlines who were doing selling tickets and trying to socially distance and have empty rows. And now recently they've made a move to saying, no, we're just going to sell planes to full capacity. What do you think about that? As somebody who does have, seats to fill, strategically, is it the right move to say we're going to fill to capacity?
Well, I'll tell you something. I mean, I'll tell you my mindset, and my mindset is, I have huge arcade areas in my theaters, anywhere between 5,000 and 10,000 square feet. They are closed. Public health did not mandate me to close them, but I did close them because I have still not found what I believe to be a safe way to operate those and disinfect after usage, or minimize community infection. And so for now, they'll be closed. As for selling to capacity for the airlines, I'm 100,000K frequent flyer with Air Canada, and Dragon's Den is filming in August, and I'll be driving to Toronto. So the airlines can do what they want. I'll do what's right for me and what's safe for me. As for movie theaters, we've never asked, ever since the announcement of COVID, and ever since we've had the fear of COVID. What we've done is we've always asked for a 50% capacity, and we still maintain that's what it should be. But right now it's 50 people. Discussions are in play for the 17th of July to go up to 250 per auditorium, while still keeping the distanciation. As we speak today, you can sit in any row you want, but you've got to be 2 seats to the left or to the right of anybody that you're not living with in the same address or same family. Come July 17th.
Just before we wrap up, I want to make sure I ask you this question. Are you worried about the film slate? Hollywood and other movie-making regions are basically at a standstill and can't make new films. Are you worried about the film slate running out?
No, I'm not worried about the film slate running out. You've got to remember, we already know movies that are coming out next year that are done. I mean, Avatar 2 is ready to go June 2021. Rumor is that it may move to Christmas 2020. So we're not worried about the supply of films long term. What we are worried about, though, is if the U.S. doesn't get a handle on their COVID, their theaters won't be able to open. And if their theaters don't open, we know the mindset of Americans, right? They are the center of the known universe in their minds, and they will not release movies unless their theaters are open. So we may end up having to survive on native Quebec movies, on European movies, on other than American market movies. We've done it in the past, so it's not a problem. I mean, can we sustain 12 months of that? Probably not. Will the problem persist for the next 12 months in the U.S.? Probably not. I mean, I'm going to believe that there's going to be a handle on all of this in the next few months. And as long as Tenet doesn't move on the 12th, once Tenet comes out on the 12th of August, that will launch, the opening of all the other titles.
Vince, thank you so much for your candor. As always, good to speak with you. Good luck on day one. That's Vince Guzzo, CEO of Cinémas